Okay, this video is going to be filling out the top flap of section 1, the top flap of section 1 of your Unit 10 volume flipbook. I'm going to have to talk a little bit softer, class, just because my voice is starting to give out from this cold. So let's take a look at this top flap. The essential question is, what is the difference between perimeter, area, and volume? This needs to be very clear to you, students. You need to know the difference between these three things. We've already learned what perimeter and area are, and some of you are kind of getting those two confused, so I want to go over that again. And then, of course, in this unit, we're dealing with volume. Let's write these definitions first. Perimeter is the measure of the distance or the length around a shape, and it's in units. So in this case, the perimeter of this picture would be the distance around this picture in units, which in this case is inches. Area is the measure of the space inside of a two-dimensional shape in units squared. So, whereas in this example for perimeter, we're taking a look at what this is around the shape. And this is the space inside of the shape. Okay, inside of a two-dimensional shape, it has both length and width, and it's in units squared. So if this is meters, it'd be in meters squared. Volume is the measure of the space inside a three-dimensional shape, and that's going to be in units cubed. So if this is measured in feet, these three dimensions are in feet. Our units for volume will be in feet cubed. Let's look at some examples of each one of these playing out in kind of a real-life example. The first question is, how much framing material would you need to frame this photo? That is a perimeter question. I'm not going to frame on top of the picture. I'm going to frame around the picture. That's the measurement or distance around the shape. So in this case, I'm going to add all the sides together. This is a rectangular picture. So I'm going to take, I got 12 inches, and I've got 8 inches over here. Well, I know these two sides are congruent. I know that's going to be 12. This side is congruent to its opposite side, and that's 8. And these four numbers added together give me 40 inches. So our answer to this question would be, you would need, oh goodness, I don't know where that came from. You would need 40 inches of framing material. So if you had this picture and you want to go get it framed, you would go to the store to get it framed. Whoops, I'm going to spell that wrong. And they'd say, okay, your frame's going to need to be 40 inches long. They'll probably charge you per inch for that to frame that particular picture. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Area. Here's our area question. How much paint would you need to paint this wall? Now think about it, class. You're not just going to paint the corners. You're not going to paint the outside edges. That's a perimeter question. You're going to paint the space that the wall takes up, the whole area, the inside of all those edges. This is an area question. We know that area of a rectangle is length times width. In this case, you've got a length of, we can pick either one. Let's just pick 7 as the length. Let's pick the width as 3. So the area is 21 meters. Remember, area is in units squared, 21 meters squared. So our answer here would be, you would need 21 square meters of paint. Now, when you look at a paint can, it's not going to say on the paint can, this is 21 square meters of paint. What it will tell you though is it will tell you, if it's a gallon, it will tell you how many square feet or how many square meters it will cover. So if you bought a can of paint and it said it covers 21 square meters or 25 square meters, you're good to go. If you go buy a little can of paint and it says this can of paint will cover 15 square meters, well, you're not going to be able to paint this whole wall. Probably you'll have to buy a second can to do that. So being able to figure out the area of this wall helps us go to the store and know how much paint we have to buy. Knowing how to find perimeter helps us know how to go to the store and find out how much framing material to buy if we want to make that frame ourselves. Last question on volume. How much water would you need to fill this fish tank? Well, this is a three-dimensional figure. We're going to go ahead and follow our rules of finding the volume of a rectangular prism. This is a rectangular prism. All the sides are rectangles. Opposite sides, the base here. I'm going to shade this. This is our base, the bottom. Here's our opposite base. Those two appear to be parallel and congruent. We can use the formulas for the volume of a rectangular prism. First of all, our base is a rectangle, and that means our base is going to... Oh, I forgot to do something, class. Sorry, once I shaded my base, I should have circled my height. If the base is the bottom, then 2 and 4, 2 feet and 4 feet, those are the dimensions of the base. The 3 feet is not part of the dimensions of the base. That becomes our height. The base is going to be length times width, and that's going to be, we can pick the 4 for length and 2 for width. So our base is 8 feet squared. That's the area of our base. Our height is 3 feet. So our volume is going to be base times height, or base area times height, which is 8 times 3, which is 24. Notice, class, volume is in units cubed, so feet cubed. So our answer to this question is you would need 24, and I can call this, instead of feet squared, I can actually say cubic feet. Makes more sense to say cubic feet. Cubic feet of water to fill it. So hopefully this video gives you examples of how we would apply the properties of perimeter, in this case to find out how much framing material we need, the properties of area, how much paint we would need to paint this wall, and the properties of volume, how much water would we need to fill up this fish tank.